India as a nation, we have gone through green revolution, industrial revolution, and a couple of decades back, we had gone through a communication revolution. And now we are in a digital revolution. And the changing trends in the industry, to cope up with those, the skills need to be upgraded. It may be a reskill or a upskill. So by now you know the topic is reskill or upskill, redefining the education for the future of work. As I said, we have a stalwart from the skills industry and almost all are from all the sectors of the councils. You name it agriculture, you name it electronics, you name it water, you name it gem and jewelry and so on. And with an edtech also. So I'll request all the panel members to give an introductory remark in a couple of minutes.
Okay.
Any one of you can start.
Yeah. Hi, I am Maya. I belong to an organization called EduBridge Learning. So EduBridge, as he rightly said, is an edtech, and since 15 years we've been doing workforce development. So we identify youth from different parts of the country, we upskill them on some vocational skill, and then deploy them in certain jobs. This is essentially what we do. So over the last 15 years, we've actually really seen how the different industries have evolved. For example, banking. 10 years ago, there used to be so many back-end operations, banking jobs, and the typical picture of a banking job was, you'll go sit in a bank branch, sit on a computer in an air conditioner, and you'll work. Today, the banking industry and the banking jobs have completely changed, right? They're mostly, you'll find a lot of sales jobs, people trying to sell you products because technology has taken over the back office roles in the banking sector. Similarly, we can talk about tech. Similarly, we can talk about retail. So we've seen these industries evolve, and so organizations like us, we've actually seen that we have to upskill learners to be able to get their first job, even beyond their traditional degree education, and we have to give them the skills that keep them relevant in the market, so they can, keep growing in their career.
Thanks.
Okay, we have.
Yeah, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity, sir. My name is Salim Ahmed. I am the officiating head of the Electronic Sector Skill Council of India. Like the other colleagues sitting here, I represent one of the key sectors under the Skill India mission, that is the Electronic Sector Skill Council. As Electronic Sector Skill Council, we basically work to create a skilled workforce for the complete ESDM, that is the Electronic System Design and Manufacturing sector. And we divide the sector into 9 subsectors on the base of the usability and application of the electronics. So as an electronic canvas, we have a very large canvas to address. We do skilling in job roles as basic as maybe an electrician or a smart electrician, or field technicians of the home appliances, to very, very complex job roles of semiconductor, right from designing a chip, to chip splicing. So we have a very large canvas, and it's wonderful to be here as the conversation goes forward. We'll be very happy to contribute. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, this is Varun Tandon. I'm the CEO at Water Management and Plumbing Skill Council. Again, a very important sector for us, which is the upskilling and the reskilling area, because with the advent of technology and the changes in the actual infrastructure and the products, making sure that the workforce is being reskilled and upskilled with the latest advancements is something that's very, very important for our sector. And of course, we're doing it with the ministry, with state, central governments, and with a lot of industry partners contributing towards these upskilling activities that we undertake at the council level. Thank you.
I am Satyendra Arya. I am the CEO of Agriculture Sector Skill Council. Because 4 of my co-panelists, 4 of us are from the Sector Skill Council, it's very important to share with you that what we do exactly. So basically we are performing 2 functions. One is an awarding body. We promote vocational education in our respective sector. do assessment certifications, development of qualifications, and model curriculum, content. So that's one part, developmental part. The second is, being the Sector Skill Council, you are the industry-driven body which basically takes care of placement promotion, apprenticeship promotion, and establishments of Center of Excellence, and also undertaking special initiatives on behalf of Government of India whenever something new has to be taken up. Coming back to the Agriculture Skill Council, like any other Sector Skill Council, we are performing those roles, but the important fact lies is that agriculture is contributing to almost 50% of the employment. 50% of the workforce is engaged in agriculture. And we perceive our role as glamorizing agriculture sector, because the important thing is there's a lot of attrition from agriculture, and there's nothing bad about it. That's a global phenomenon. But how do you glamorize a sector? Because the vocational identity is a very important challenge in agriculture sector, and most of the time the limelight to agriculture comes only during the parliamentary session. So if we want to engage on these particular aspects, more we are going to talk.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Arya. So as Dr. Arya just stated, the two broad roles which any sector skill council performs, one is the development role. It's in line with a university. Like we develop curriculum, we develop qualification, we certify trainers, we do training of trainers, training of assessors, which are like examiners, and we engage assessment bodies or examination bodies who conduct these exams on our behalf whenever there is a training happening anywhere. The other is a promotional role, as Dr. Arya said, because we are for ministry or for policy making, we are industry's voice. We represent industry as far as their aspirations in terms of skilling is concerned, or wherever there are going to be jobs coming in future. So what are the skills which would be required over next 3 years, 5 years, and hence the government can maneuver their policy initiatives in those directions. So that's another major role which we play. I think rest as we move forward.
Upskilling is basically when you are acquiring certain new competencies for enhancing your present role. जो आप अभी कर रहे हैं उसको कैसे बेहतर तरीके से कर सकते हैं. कृषि क्षेत्र का अगर मैं उदाहरण लूं तो बेसिकली फॉर एग्जांपल अगर एक ट्रैक्टर ऑपरेटर अपना खेत जोत रहा है, वो अपनी उसको कम फ्यूल एफिशिएंसी को बढ़ाने के लिए वो किस तरीके से अपने ट्रैक्टर को चल रहा है, अगर वो नया तरीका कर रहे हैं, दैट इज़ अपस्किलिंग. या मैं अपने खेत के अंदर में ड्रोन का यूज़ करके प्रेजेंट रोल में उसको बेहतर तरीके से कर सकूं, दैट इज़ अपस्किलिंग. Reskilling is something when you are transitioning into a new role altogether and you have to acquire those competencies to perform new, do justice to the new role. For example, if you are working on a dairy farm and you are doing that particular activity, but suddenly you are given a charge, a supervisory charge to manage a bigger dairy farm. So the set of responsibility would be slightly more, and you would have to acquire the skills which are related to the supervisory role. So that is basically reskilling. Coming back to your question of AI or automation, जो आज के दिन में हम लोग अगर मैं कोई नया टूल इस्तेमाल कर रहा हूँ, जैसे मैं एग्रीकल्चर वर्कर हूँ और मैं कोई नया टूल इस्तेमाल करता हूँ, फॉर एग्जांपल वीडिंग के लिए करता हूँ या मैं हेज कटिंग के लिए करता हूँ, so that is kind of upskilling. Whereas if you want to go for say artificial intelligence tools, अगर मैं कोई aquaculture activity कर रहा हूँ और मुझे अपने pond को automation से feed करना है, so I will have to mold myself from a role of a aquaculture farmer to somebody who is a precision farming or a precision farmer in terms of doing those aquaculture activities. So that would be the reskilling role. So I'll rest there.
Yesterday I had a meeting with a NGO members, and then they said that recently the students, they are on a real life, not in a real life. And as sir said that for a real life, you need to be really on the field to act on it. So my next question goes to Ms. Maya, that what to educate such type of students on a real life. So what type of curriculum and pedagogy we need to have so that the students can have an hands on a real jobs.
Absolutely. I think this question is extremely close to my heart because this is something we brainstorm, in EduBridge every single day because our goal is to upskill and reskill students to, grow in their careers. So I think what we really need to do is do some curriculum modernization. Which means the curriculum now needs to have a lot of meta skills. What are meta skills? Meta skills are skills that are fairly industry agnostic. So, instead of going very specific and learning specific skills, because we don't know after 5 years, 10 years, what careers will become obsolete, what roles will become obsolete. So, train them on meta skills, which can actually be fungibly leveraged across different sectors. That's very important. Now, these meta skills could be empathy, it could be like the human touch, how to communicate and all of that. Then we come to futuristic skills like, your generative AI, your financial literacy, digital literacy, cyber security. Again, these are the skills whichever vertical you are in. Like if you're in healthcare, you can use AI. We've been talking about this since morning. Even if you're in banking, there is a role of AI. Every sector, every industry, there is a role. So understanding these future skills. And finally, I feel curriculum has to be taught in a very experiential manner. We can use a lot of simulations, real world simulations, projects, activity-based learning. So then the students are actually understanding what's going on, and this knowledge can then be applied to whatever they do. And one final very important point is learning agility. I think this sort of surpasses all other skills. If somebody is able to adapt and learn, then whatever career is relevant at any given point of time, that learner will be able to go on and make use of that. Thanks.
To add to it, I'll say, since we are from a skills university, the observation what we have is, for our tech programs, it's a 4-year degree program. If I design a curriculum today, I'm not sure that in the after completion of the 4th year, a student's that knowledge or those skills will be of use. So we ensure that every year the course curriculum gets updated.
Yeah.
And for these, the National Board of Accreditation or a National Accreditation Council, they also give a marks to that. A very relative or very important thing for an university or an institution. Number 2, regarding a pedagogy, the time has gone up when uniform instructions. Now it is an activity-based learning, project-based learning, research-based learning, and that to flip classrooms and so on. So these are all those things which have come up in the last 5 years in a national education policy. So these are the things which I wanted to add, and since I said about the policy, my next question is to Rajiv Garg sir. What should the government or skill council should take an initiative to reskill or upskill at a larger scale?
Yeah, sure, Dr. Shalar, I'll come to that.
Yeah.
But before that, if you allow me,
Yes.
I would like to add to what Dr. Arya said and
Yeah, sure.
Maya said. Our sector, out of the 4 sectors who are present here, is slightly different. You can associate us with lifestyle, and there is a lot of product and a lot of retail happening. So to that extent, the AR/VR plays a vital role, because these days, the selling experience, and you have e-commerce coming in a big way. Earlier, we never could think that jewelry could sell online. Now all the big jewelry brands are selling online big times, and that is where you are not taking the product in your hand, but you are still going ahead and buying products which are at least valued 50,000, 1 lakh. So you are spending that type of money. So AR/VR is playing a very major role. Similarly, artificial intelligence is playing a major role in the retail merchandising. What should a store stock on his store or her store which would sell? Earlier, this was all done manually. Now, there are algorithms using AI which actually tells me exactly what to stock, when to stock, and how much to stock. So that is a big change, that is a big use of AI and other technology which is coming in place. If you get into manufacturing, jewelry manufacturing is not all handmade jewelry. There are huge industries operating in jewelry manufacturing, and believe me, you have much more engineering and technology going into jewelry design and manufacturing as against some of the larger food processing units. I had worked in Britannia for 10 years. When I moved to jewelry, I realized jewelry actually involves much more engineering than they do. Now, coming to your question of the policy making and what the governments can do, I think one very major thing, and we were discussing it over lunch also and previously, I think government needs to realize that all sectors are not same. You cannot measure everybody with the same yardstick. Now, what an agriculture sector skill council would need for the training they conduct versus what electronics would need versus what jewelry would need. We have very, very different requirements. And when you try to basically pay the training cost by the same yardstick or with the same sort of hourly remuneration, that doesn't work. And that's where I think most of the government initiatives fall short of achieving what they intend to. The other is having the flexibility. If you want to engage industry in skilling, give them the space. Don't force them to follow a certain system and certain curriculum because they know what they want. Just recognize whatever they are doing in terms of skilling. I think that would go in a very, very long way in really getting reskilling and upskilling on board, because you need that constantly. As you yourself said, every year you need to revisit your curriculum. So same is with industry. What designs are selling today would not be selling in the next season. So everywhere there is a constant learning happening and constant reskilling happening. So I think that is what the policy makers need to recognize and create flexible spaces where people can basically develop their own systems and take the skilling on board.
As Raju Garg said that AI is critical and constant updation is required. So the next question goes to our Dr. Salim Ahmed sir. How can AI help personalized learning or make upskilling more effective?
I think it's very essential, especially I'll speak from the perspective of the electronics sector, and I think similar is the situation in other sectors also. A large part of the workforce in the country is, they are skilled, but they're not certified. So when the government program of conducting this skill development and using like all kind of tools, to enhance the skills of an individual person, but a large part of the people who are already skilled, and they are in the informal sector. And I would here give a very simple example of AC technicians. So in India, there are over 4.5 to 5 lakh technicians in the country who are very, very skilled. And of course, each one of us, you have your ACs serviced every year. They come to your home and they're pretty skilled in the job, but they're not certified. And a large part of the country's strategy is also to the inclusion of these large technicians from the informal sector into the formal sector. So to that effect, we have, as an Electronic Sector Skill Council, we had done a program with the Ministry of Environment called the HPMP, that is the Hydrochlorofluorocarbon Phase-Out Management Plan, in which the hydrochlorofluorogas has to be replaced with the hydrofluorogas, the handling of which is very critical and requires special expertise and high level of skills. So we mobilized, upskilled and certified 100,000 AC technicians in the first phase of the HPMP program. We are now in the second phase where under the ozone cell of the Ministry of Environment, we have got 25,000 numbers again, to basically mobilize upskill. So one part of the question is basically the upskilling part. Now reskilling is also equally important. Of course, a person wants to change the complete vocation, they need to acquire new skills. But from the perspective of the electronic, again, if I give the same example, now there are a lot of enhancement of technology and technology upgradations, and also the gases, the materials being used, they could be hazardous. So a special skill is required, in which there is equally need. Before the reskilling, there is a very important thing of unlearning. That's equally important, because a person is consistently in a habit of doing a particular thing. So that habit has to be overcome, and that has to be consciously imparted, to unlearn the existing practices, so that he can acquire new practices and then and basically reskill himself. So that's one part of the question, sir. The other part you asked was? Thank you so much.
Okay. Since you have seen all the four panel members have stated about it, what is reskilling, academic part, industry part, and so on. So my next question goes to Varun Tandon, sir. How do we know if a skilling program is working? Should we focus more on getting people hired, or should we go for a long-term learning? That means either shall we go for upskilling of an existing employees, or we should move on to reskilling. What's your view, sir?
Thank you. So I think both are equally important. Whilst it is important to make sure that the existing workforce is also being upskilled with the advent of technology, as my colleagues also mentioned, in every sector there's infusion of technology in various ways. And for the existing workforce to be relevant, they have no choice but to upskill themselves or reskill themselves. Yes, fresh candidates, getting skilled on the advent or the new technology is equally important as well. Parameters pertaining to whether these activities are being, are becoming relevant or not is the fact that there is a need from the industry that the talent that is getting trained on these latest technologies, they are being compensated with a premium as well. Especially in our sector, when we talk about upskilling of the plumbing workforce, sensor-based technologies have come into play. Post-COVID, there's a lot of touchless systems that have come, and people that are relevant, that have made sure that they've upskilled themselves with this technology, are getting more work. To the tune, major metro cities, there's technicians that are getting paid good 40,000-50,000 a month, only working 20 days. So it is definitely important to make sure that they're being upskilled.
So we have been to academics, industries, and so on. Now, straight away moving on to the industry, the next question is to Rajiv Gar, sir. What the organization should do internally to upskill the careers of their employees? What are the initiatives they should take?
So I think, Dr. Shalar, that is a very, very standard thing which every organization follows, whether you say it is reskilling or upskilling, because again, depending on you know, all the HR people here would tell you, you have a performance management system in place in all the organizations. Even at the bench level workers, you know which worker is doing better, who is more productive worker, whom you can give more complex jobs to do. So they automatically gets upgraded. They also are getting opportunities to learn new skills, because they are more adaptive, they would learn better, and they would perform better. Similarly, if you are talking of my sector, you would know gems and jewelry is not a highly organized sector. 90% of the industry in our sector are MSME. They are small. Even some, you leave Titan and few more, all are in that small sector. So they are not very organized. So to that extent, you would not have a career planning, typically a career planning which you would have in any other formal or organized industry there, but they know who would take up my job when I move out. They have identified it very clearly and they prepare those candidates accordingly. So may not be happening in very organized manner, but upskilling certainly keeps happening. Reskilling, as I said, depends on the shift in the job scenario in the sector. As I said, you have e-commerce coming in a big way. So now there are new jobs in gems and jewelry industry related to presence of e-commerce. All brands want to be there on e-commerce platforms. They have Photoshop people who would create those images. They would have photographers who would click those videos and images to upload, and they would have people managing their social media presence and search engine optimization. To that extent, the IT has already sort of invaded into typical gems and jewelry. Even a small retailer in a tier 3 city wants to have that online presence. If nothing else, through your Instagram or maybe WhatsApp, business WhatsApp accounts presence. So to that extent, yes, that happens. And organizations are very, very live to this fact that they need to change as per the changing scenario of the market.
As sir said that you should have a second level ready and it happens in the system. And it goes on and on. So it means that it's like a building a lifelong learning for the industry as well as for an individual as an employee or as a student also now. And that is where my next question goes to Maya Gupta. How do we motivate especially adults, those who are already in the systems, to keep learning regularly? Can the nano degrees can help them, and how it can be done? Since she is from an EduBridge, she'll be able to tell us that what are the certification programs can help them to upskill them.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I think continuous learning is more of a mindset. It's not a skill, it's a mindset that everyone needs to have. How many of us have heard of the Japanese concept Kaizen? Can we have a raise of hands here, please? Yeah, so many of us have read, right? But how many of us are actually, deploying that principle in our own life? So the idea is to not stop learning when you've done your degrees, even if you're a postgraduate or even if you're a doctor. The idea is to not stop learning. The idea is to continuously learn through your life. And the way to do is, it's very easy these days. You have these micro-learning podcasts, you have Coursera, you have LinkedIn Learning, you have so many tools. ChatGPT is the ultimate tool for self-learning. So all these institutes, all the organizations who have, employees at, let's say, age 40, 50 also, they have to train their people on this mindset. They have to train people that continuous learning is important. Having said that, this also needs a systemic or a ecosystem support. So for example, if this micro-learning was, if we could capture this, if there could be like a platform where these skills could be, they could get credits and over a period of time, this can be recorded for an individual, this kind of a systemic support, if it's available, then this will actually encourage employees in that age group to keep learning, because somewhere that is also getting credentials. Yeah. So if it's there, then great. But then let's say if we are not aware, if the masses are not aware, then how do people know that if, you get this skill, how do you add it to your, of course, people add LinkedIn badges and all of that, but a larger sort of platform where this can be recorded would be great to have. Thank you.
See, different skill sectors are there. Especially engineering college is one professional education, one is academic education. What is needed is that all the skills, at least 4 we have: agriculture we have, plumbing we have, electronics we have. Now, how you are going to integrate with the educational institute? If you are not integrating, it is not going to percolate. If you don't take them in confidence and award the certification, it is win-win situation. Implementing for the council, at the same time enhancing the employability. How the mechanism you have designed, that is very important. so many years skill councils have come in, means skill related activities are happening, but I have not seen percolating in the especially non-academic BA, BCom, BSc institute. Until and unless it happens, that is not going to help lot.
Sir, shall I? Sir, what we do at ITM Skills University, for designing a curriculum, we have an advisory board and a team from the industries, those who come and guide us for those particular programs. At the end of every year, we will even have a students' hackathon, presentation from the students and the project submission. They get evaluated. There is a 6 months internship, not a couple of months internship, but there is 6 months internship, where a student has to get into the industry. Sir, that is what I will come to that. So that once the student goes under internship for 6 months, industry, my pre-placement offer has moved from 5% to 30%. Because of the industry association, that is one. For defining the...
देखिए ताली दो हाथ से बजती है, एक से तो बिल्कुल बजेगी नहीं, और ये ताली बजाने का बेस्ट टाइम है. न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी को आए हुए 2 से ज़्यादा साल हो गए हैं, and everybody is trying to grapple it, and they are trying to find their own solutions. I have been interacting with some of the board of studies, or whatever you call it, academic councils. Again, the tendency is, कहा गया था न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी में वोकेशनलाइजेशन ऑफ एजुकेशन, बट अगेन द टेम्पटेशन इज़ कि जो क्रेडिट हमें उसमें पूरे करने हैं, 12 क्रेडिट अगर उसमें पूरे करने हैं, कुछ थोड़ा सा ना अच्छे वाला, आप कुछ अच्छा रोल सजेस्ट करिए. जब स्किल्स की बात करते हैं, कोई भी चीज़ हार्डकोर करनी है, उसमें आई जस्ट टेक एन एग्जाम्पल. टेक एक एग्जाम्पल ऑफ ए फिशरी कॉलेज समवेयर इन नागपुर, एंड पानी में तो उतरना पड़ेगा ना किसी फिश के लिए, लेकिन टेंडेंसी क्या होगा, नहीं हमारे बच्चे थोड़ा सा ना स्टूडियस नेचर के हैं, इनको थोड़ा पानी वनी से मत वो करिएगा. सो कहीं ना कहीं हमें आपस में डायलॉग करना पड़ेगा. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, फॉर एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर, आई एम ट्राइंग टू रीच आउट टू माई 78 एग्रीकल्चर एंड वेटरनरी यूनिवर्सिटीज़. They have been doing exemplary great work, okay? But when it comes to the vocational part, there are certain positives that we can bring. We are just sharing with them and trying to find a midway path. So हर कोई सेक्टर शायद उस तरीके से कर रहा होगा.
I'll add to what Dr. Arya said, and I think जो आपने पूछा, so agriculture, you have specific agriculture colleges, universities, okay, so they are conducting some courses. There are certain graduation programs specifically for agriculture. Gems and jewelry का सर कोई university नहीं है, okay, so there is no university. There is one in the process of coming up. Hopefully in next couple of years we should have one in Mumbai, but as of today there is none. But as you rightly asked, if there are students who are doing their BA, Bachelor of Arts, Commerce, anything, there are so many courses, and we really, as Dr. Arya said, from our side we have really been trying to have colleges or universities on board. The government has come up with various options. Okay, there was a BVOC degree, Bachelor of Vocational Education. That also has not really been very successful. We had gems and jewelry also. There was somebody doing in Rajasthan, Mahatma Phule University here in Pune. They were working with us. Even SNDT here in Mumbai, they had a BVOC course. But how many takers? In SNDT University, in one batch, we would typically have 5 students, 6 students, 8 students. So, जैसा डॉक्टर आर्य ने कहा, सर ताली दोनों हाथ से बजेगी. आप एक स्टेप आगे बढ़ेंगे. I can vouch for all the 36 sector skill councils. There are 36. They are more than willing to take 2 steps forward. But हम लोग लिखते हैं सर, कोई email का जवाब तक नहीं देता है. So that's the harsh reality on ground. I will be happy to exchange card with you, and maybe we can start with you in the next semester.
Thank you, sir. Sir, we are falling short of time.
So I'll just add one aspect very simply. The councils were set up by the industry, for the industries. We understand the need of the industry, and we've created small micro-credential programs. We've created of course, NOS-based skilling. And with the educational institution, for example, we have public health system design engineers that we've got. For the commerce space, we've got sales officers. So there are programs which can be infused with educational institutes by setting up centers of excellence with the industry, so that the movement of the children from classroom to the actual shop floor is faster. And we can also do apprenticeship-enabled degree programs. So these are things that the councils can offer.
So to summarize it, every sector is performing in its unique way. As Sir started with it. And each one of us, let it be the skill council or the academicians or the industry, let us come and contribute together and move towards our centenary year. That is, have a Prime Minister's vision of contributing to Vikasit Bharat 2047. Thank you.